A year is a long time in politics, and seldom in the 13 months that Stormont has stood empty has the prospect for devolved government in Northern Ireland seemed bleaker. Today the DUP pulled the plug on the latest round of talks, but crucially, for the first time they appear to call for the imposition of direct rule.
As a result of our inability in this stage to reform an executive, I think it is incumbent upon Her Majesty's Government to step in, to come forward with a budget and start taking some key decisions around health, around education, around infrastructure, and taking those decisions on those matters that really matter to the people of Northern Ireland.
Perhaps unsurprisingly, Sinn Féin put the blame on the DUP.
So the DUP leadership had failed to come forward and close on the issues where we did find an accommodation. So these issues are not going to go away. Myself and Mary Lou MacDonald are engaged with both governments and will continue to do that. And over the course of tomorrow, we will set out a more fulsome response in relation to where we go from here.
The stumbling block, as ever, was the thorny issue of the Irish language. We've seen deadlines come and go this year, but could this really be the end of the line? In January 2017, the late Martin McGuinness stood down as Deputy First Minister in protest at the handling of a controversial renewable heating scheme. The Stormont government collapsed and still hasn't returned. A second election in 2 years failed to break the deadlock, and talks between Sinn Féin and the DUP failed again and again. Fast forward to 2018 and hopes of a deal looked brighter. Theresa May even visited Belfast this week to try and push things over the line. No such luck. But as civil servants have warned that pressing budget decisions need to be made, the restoration of democratic accountability is becoming critical. All sides reaffirmed their commitment to the principles of devolution. But direct rule seems more likely now than at any stage in the last decade. But a return to direct rule presents a number of significant challenges. For one thing, there are serious concerns about the institutional readiness of the Northern Ireland office, housed in a handful of dreary rooms in the basement of the Treasury behind me, to handle the logistical challenge of running Northern Ireland from Whitehall. Just one example, it only employs around 150 people. Second, in a parliamentary timetable that's full to bursting with Brexit legislation, it's not at all clear how the necessary space would be made for running Northern Ireland from Westminster. Direct rule from Westminster has happened before, but not quite like this.
Never before have we had a British government that is beholden to the DUP. So the nationalists, or the nationalist parties, Sinn Féin, the SDLP, are going to be really aware of that, and they're going to really want to find some ways of mitigating that DUP influence. And joint authority, or some form of joint authority between the British and Irish governments, is something that they will likely push for to mitigate that DUP influence at Westminster.
The institutions of the Good Friday Agreement provide for at least one form of joint authority. That much is clear. The prospect of ever getting an executive up and running again in Stormont is much less so.